tell you my lean startup story. So I work for a company that connects people with applications. We're actually based out of Sartell, Minnesota. If you Google us, it might seem like we're in the middle of cornfields, which is actually true, but a lot of interesting and innovating stuff comes out of those cornfields. So a few months ago, I had this idea. I wanted to figure out how could I connect a user base of 6 million on Facebook to applications, something that we're already great at doing. Now we all know ideas are worthless without execution. So a few months later, here I am with an awesome Facebook desktop application with 170,000 monthly active users, over 40,000 daily active users, over 30,000 likes on Facebook, a 4.1 out of 5 rating from 230 reviews. All this was made possible only because of thanks to all the lean startup principles. This is genius. If there is one thing that you guys want to take back from my presentation today, please ingrain this in the decision-making hemisphere of your brain, because trust me, this is not bullshit theory, it actually makes sense. One of the true tests that kept coming up for me is my ability to separate my vision from my objective. It's so easy to get lost in the concept that every single feature is required in order to make my product successful. That is absolutely not true. So what I needed was an advisor, and my advisor was Jeff Bollinger, who's in the crowd today, VP of Information Systems for my company. Every time I went to him, he was absolutely familiar with my vision, what I wanted to do, and the lean startup principles. Every time I went to him with an idea, he said, cut out 80% of it because that's bullshit, it's not complementary to what you're trying to do. Or something that's extremely powerful. For those of you who are software developers, this for me has been the principle of separation of responsibility. Allows you to focus on one thing and one thing at a time. Even before we wrote our first line of code, what I did was I wanted to analyze if people are even going to use a Facebook desktop application. I put out a survey. In less than 2 days, I got 200 responses back. And people loved it. People loved the idea of having a desktop application where they don't have to open up their browser. So we went ahead, built our MVP. We had, this is our desktop app. We had it logged using Facebook Connect, and it was basically a Facebook desktop notifier. We built this in less than 10 development days, and this was our MVP. So now we have to analyze our results. We're a data-driven company. However, I realized that reporting and controls are essential if you want to build a business, not to prove out a business. So I said, screw the fancy dashboards and let me just query my database tables. The results were amazing. They said, go for it. And during this time, I did a whole bunch of research and figured out everybody and their brother has an opinion about what Facebook should look like and what features do they like. So I said, okay, let's pick the lowest common denominator and fix all the not so nice stuff about Facebook, the browsing capabilities, for example. That, along with some feedback that we received, we actually put a sidebar because we understood that most common users don't know how to interact with the system menu. And we drag and drop photo feature. You just drag photos into this box, and poof, it's uploaded to your Facebook profile without ever opening a browser window. It was amazing. We had engagement increase by 10 times. And the moral of the story here is we need to iterate. We need to iterate early and often. You need to make your changes, you need to release, and you need to get feedback. Speaking of feedback, some people love our application and other people hate it. People who hate it, those are the kinds of emails we get. I hate FlipToast. The app sucks. You guys are wasting my fucking time. So then what we said was, okay, that's great. I saw so much of passion in these emails that I received because these guys actually took the time to write to me and tell me what they hate about my application. Then I find the next phase of the application where people said the sidebar was too obtrusive, so we replaced it with the toggle feature. And at this point I realized I do need to have a fancy queue in order to analyze cohorts. Another interesting thing happened. Over the last few months, we've had 50 different articles written about FlipToast in 15 different languages. People, and these are all personal blogs and techies telling us how much they love our application, how it's made their lives easier, how it's made them more productive. So finally I had to ask myself, okay, how am I doing? All this is great. What are my daily active users, weekly active users? How do they compare against other Facebook applications? Is 40,000 users enough, daily active users enough for me to build a business? Can I compete with everybody else out there? Can I produce something actually viable? And all I needed to do was answer the $1 million question without actually having $1 million. Assume that someone gave me $1 million in order to take my app to the next level. Could I make it into a business? I know I need to build a team. I know I need to have traffic. I know I need to acquire users. I know I need to prove out my business model. And all I needed was imagination, an Excel file, and reasonable assumptions in order to say, yes, I think my revenues will definitely outweigh my cost. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your time. This is my contact information. I'm definitely looking for perspective on whether you think I'm moving fast enough, because sometimes we do get lost in the cornfields. Thank you.
I love that bit about the SQL data collection. Like, when you're a 100-person company, your marketing and business people like, definitely don't know SQL. But when you're like 5-person company,